Two things. Number one, I do have a mask, but sometimes if people are watching it, they have difficulty understanding clearly, what we're on and what we're talking about. So I have a mask and it's right here. The second thing I want to read is, due to the unique nature of these meetings, the town of Dyer will only accept public comments submitted electronically. If you are viewing this meeting virtually and have a question or a comment about an item on the agenda, please email that question or comment to publiccomments@townofdyer.com. We will ensure that all submissions are shared with the elected and appointed officials of the respective board. The submission will also be entered into the minutes of the respective meeting. Please list your name and address in your email, for the meeting record. With that, I'd like to welcome all of you to the Town Council meeting for August 13th, 2020. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have the roll call, please?
Here.
Here.
Present.
Alan.
Here. Present.
Here. You have before you a consent agenda consisting of the minutes of the July 9th, 2020 Town Council meeting, minutes of the July 30th, 2020 Town Council meeting, minutes of the July 9, 2020 executive session, and claims totaling $1,909,301.37. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion.
To approve with one change
Yes.
on the July 9th,
Okay.
2020
Yes.
meeting. Second page, it's a call for a vote. Consent agenda was approved 5-0 vote with Kramer abstaining. It should be a 4-0 vote with Kramer abstaining.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the change. Do I have
The motion, you made the motion.
Yes.
and amended it?
Okay. Steve
You
got
wanna
it.
make that- I just
No,
wanna
go ahead.
make sure
That's
they
fine.
changed that in there.
That's fine.
Motion to approve it with the amendment? Roll call?
Wait,
Hang on.
as I understood the motion for Mr. Kramer, it was a motion to approve the consent agenda for the, as published, except that the July 9th, 2020 Town Council meeting minutes be amended on the second page to reflect that.
4-0.
Call for a vote on the motion. The consent agenda was approved by unanimous consent, striking the word unanimous, putting a 4-0 vote. Kramer abstained from the June 11th.
Correct.
Second that motion.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bob.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Alan.
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
Mary.
Aye. Do we have any announcements? Hearing none? We have a lot going on in town, that's for sure. Reports from the town council. Steve, do you have anything?
I want to report that I went to the town community events. Very well done again. I want to thank the park for doing a good job.
Community market.
Market,
Yeah.
community market. And I'd seen Officer Kissinger out there. Tell him thank you, did a good job. I'd seen a couple others wandering around too. And it's going to be quite a success. I know some of the businesses asked to have more, but most people enjoyed the small little community event as it is with a little bit of music. So I have an issue with people wearing masks while they're there. And that brings us to the meeting tonight. There is a requirement to the state. There's a requirement to wear your mask at Town Hall with the sign upstairs. So I'd ask to make sure everyone puts their mask on and wear it. Mary, I seen you had a mask. Alan, I don't know if Bob has
I
it.
always have
Please
mine.
wear it. If it's an issue with talking, you can lift up the bottom and speak really well. When we're not talking, we can put it down. It's to help protect others who may need that protection now, and it's required. So I'm asking that the 3 council members who do not have their mask on, please put your mask on unless you're talking. Eric talked, I talked, we seem to do pretty well. And again, I see out in the audience, please ensure you have your mask on. I see one individual in the back by the clock. Your mask, it's a requirement. It's by the state, and I believe the county and the health department requires it. But we're all doing our part. I want to thank everyone, and I think the town of Dyer is doing a great job. All the departments are pulling together. We weathered the storm again. Our part of town did pretty well. Some parts of town had a lot more trees down.
We got 300 people out of power.
Yeah, is there still one little corner?
There's a couple.
Non-Dwarf and Elm
Yeah.
was out of power yesterday. I don't know if they're still
Pheasant
out.
Hills.
43 houses.
Yeah. And then a great report from our police chief, Dave. Thank you for the update. Saved a lot of time from driving around, but that's all. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Eric?
Yeah, I just want to echo Councilman Kramer's sentiments. I'd like to thank our police department, our public works for their quick and thorough response immediately after that storm. I know I received a lot of compliments from residents. They pretty much say that, as always, every time we've got an issue, our police department, Chief Hine, is out there along with public works, taking care of business. So thank you to all involved in the storm response. Another joint effort, as Councilman Kramer had mentioned, our community market, it's a joint effort between our Parks Department, our citizen volunteers, our police department, our public works. And again, I thank everybody for all their efforts. That event is really gaining momentum despite these incredibly challenging times. I understand people struggle to understand how to navigate through what to do out in public, mask, no mask. Am I 6 feet? Am I not 6 feet? But everyone's pulling together to make those successful events. And I think that it's going to pay dividends as time goes on. So thank you to all those involved.
Thank you. Alan?
Yeah, I just also want to thank Public Works, Police and Fire. I know they were very busy after Monday's storm. Just want to thank you for all your hard work. I know we got a lot of cleanup to go, but thank you.
Bob?
I have nothing at this time.
Okay. National Night Out was such a success. I just heard so many compliments from people, and especially the young people throughout town really enjoyed seeing the police out, and I think it was a really successful evening. So I want to thank the police and fire for all their efforts for that. Clerk Treasurer, you have anything?
Yes, I have a couple things. We have a police donation for K9 for $1,000.
Wow.
We also have a park donation for the concerts for $3,500. Can I have a motion to accept these?
Who was it, 3,500 for the park?
I'll send to your mail.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Motion to accept those donations.
Have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Bob,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Mary.
Aye.
Also, our ACHs are up 585. When we started this in May, our revenue at that time was $172,887.28. It is now up to $266,782.02 for August. So the ACH letters that are going out are helping us with our revenue base that just automatically gets taken out. It's giving safety to the residents for
Yeah.
town hall at this time during COVID.
Anything else? Okay, thank you. Town manager?
You've got enclosed the upcoming 3-week schedule for the fire station. You can see, if you go by, you start to actually see some steel. Next week, you'll start seeing some roofing, and it's moving along pretty well. So we're pleased with that. As well as we will have an upcoming closing on 213th Street that will not be pleasant, but it'll be necessary. But
Yeah.
Rex will have it done in about a week. And then Walsh and Kelly will come in and clean not only the patching, but then fix up 213th Street, not towards your house, but towards the east, and get the patching done and everything else. So that's a good project to have done. What we're going to do is put emergency vehicles cutting through the driveway off Calumet by the landscaping business, put over the grass. It's going to be kind of and get the guys into the fire station, and then we'll be able to leave from there, and then we'll have that. But because they have to actually go out into the middle turn lane where the installation of the sewer is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it'll be, like I said, it'll be hopefully a week, no more than 6 days.
Did they have you start on that?
No, they've made a couple of the preliminary stuff, and now they had to order some new, some vaults, if I remember right. So they had to get those fabricated. So when they get that done, then they'll schedule it for likely the next week and stuff like that. So that'll give us time to get the warnings out. We've already talked to Briar Ridge. We've already talked to the 4 property owners, but then we'll just get some other signage out there and do the broadcast as we get time. Won't be like tomorrow morning kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Will it?
Is that it?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Boards and commissions. Nanette, do you have anything to report from the park department, park board? Okay. Any other boards and commissions present? See any department heads? Mike? As long as we're talking park.
Yeah, so our community market continues next week. 18th will be our fourth market, and then our June dates that were canceled back in June, we have rescheduled for September 1st and September 15th, all at Pheasant Hill Park. And then from the park board side, we are moving along a little further with Autumn Chase Park in the design and still process with that particular park. If you've been over at Central Park in the north end, you'll see the construction that's been going on with the one new ball field, the 2 detention ponds, and the walking path. So a lot of work has been going on so far. Right now we're scheduled for a September 1st bid opening for a concession stand in restroom facility. That will go in the middle of those. So advertisement. First advertisement actually should have gone out today. And then Tom had mentioned, had put this on the memo here, but August 25th is our next park board meeting. The park board did invite the council to that meeting for anybody to deal with the 10th. The item one of the items that will be on the agenda is Pheasant Hill's Cherry Hill Park improvement. Cherry Hill would be new playground, similar walking path connections, similar to all the other parks have been. But Pheasant Hills, our engineer has completed the topo work for the path around the pond.
Okay.
So just want to go over some options about going around the pond with the path, or going halfway around, connecting into Cherry Hill.
Are we talking a paved path or with that chalky, whatever it is?
Initially we were discussing more of a gravel
Okay.
path. One of the reasons being that Taylor Middle School has normally used that for
Yes, they do.
cross country and stuff. So,
Yeah.
But anyway, that's one of the items on the agenda. And on Tuesday or Friday, when I sent out the park board meeting, I copied the council on the email too. So you will see the engineering work for that if you want to look back at it. But prior to the next meeting, I'll resend it out. Copy it.
Okay, thank you. Jeff, Public Works?
We're continuing to deal with the storm on Monday.
Yes.
We got all our shippers out. They're not off schedule because we have one shipper maintaining the schedule, even though we may not get that area done specifically, but we have also 2 shippers staying in the higher areas in the south side of town. So that we're looking at maybe about a week, 10 days before we're all caught up on all the storm damage as soon as possible. The speed humps are still on target for being delivered next week. So we should start seeing those be installed probably the end of August, 1st September. Water side, we are continuing to monitor the Main Street main, doing some modifications of the water plant just to minimize any future.
Okay. Was there a lot of work to be done in Schilling? Because I heard there were a lot of trees down in Schilling. I mean, I know in our area there was, but okay. Just wondered, a lot of work.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. That it?
That is it.
Thank you. Chief?
Thank you. For July, we had 957 incidents, 35 arrests, 35 accidents with 217 citations, 354 warnings, and 46 ordinance violations. We are back to pre-pandemic numbers. We're back consistent to last year's numbers and even January and February. Under new business for us, our staffing, we're on schedule to hire 2 replacement officers next week at the police commission meeting, and the 3rd will be in September. This September hire will get us back to full staff with 32 sworn officers.
Good.
I have to say thank you to the council for assisting us getting the 12-hour schedules and the modifications to the salaries this year. It gave us additional manpower at times where we really needed it. When normally we'd have 3 to 4 officers out, it was 4 to 5 after the shifts. So it really helped on the busy nights. And we look forward to maintaining that for the rest of the year. Our third K-9 unit, we are successfully able to purchase this with all donations, most of which were still left over from last year's donations. Very, very supportive from the community. It'll be picked up on August 24th. And we've selected Officer Sickles as the handler.
Oh, that's good.
He was a previous K-9 handler. Took one time off. The last dog was assigned to Antonucci, so now it's he's going to take his second dog for us. And we look forward to that training. About 5 weeks training, should be on the road sometime in September. We're not sure on selection of dog names or anything like that. I know a lot of kids are waiting to find out which name it is. He actually goes to make a selection of the dog August 24th.
Okay.
There is a K-9 fundraiser set for September 19th at 2 p.m. at the VFW, 2 to 8. All funds raised will be a donation to the K-9 unit to assist with training, other incidentals that aren't covered on some of our funding for the K-9 unit. The National Night Out Parade was a huge success. If you could rate it, we say it was huge. But
Yes.
everywhere we turned, there was someone waiting for us to come down the street, prepared with decorated yards, driveways, signs, kids just out having fun, parents out having fun. So by all means for us, it was definitely a success that we're going to try building on in the future. We enjoy our park event. We believe we have one of the better ones around, but we're going to have to somehow incorporate this kind of parade into it because it was a huge response from the community. We had messages all day, said, don't forget us in this driveway. We've been planning all day, and it was awesome, to be honest with you. One thing I didn't have on there because it wasn't on there when we submitted was the storm response. It was amazing. It came in very quick and left a lot of damage to be picked up by Public Works. It was very comforting. Every street we turned, there was a fire truck or a Public Works vehicle helping, pulling trees off, talking to citizens, making sure houses were okay with power lines down. It was a great all-around response by the entire town. I'm very, very proud that day. That's all I have.
Thank you. Bob?
We instituted our self-dispatch plan we had for the first time because of the storm. We knew that the centralized dispatch system couldn't handle it. So people were calling 911 and they weren't getting through. And some of them called the old fire number. We'd answer the phone. We used our old radio frequency and we dispatched ourselves. Dispatched like 20 calls. So
Yeah.
and because the police people would call and say we can't get through, the whole system was jammed up because the whole region. So it worked out very well.
Is that something that we could proceduralize or something that so that residents know that is the option, or is that, I mean, obviously you want to funnel people through the 911, but if it's not working, they need
Usually
to.
you want to, but when it's not working in a disaster, we came up with that because we kind of figured that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
It's good that
Let's
you
think
figured
about
that
how
out.
to handle that, 'cause
Right. You don't want that to be the
You don't want
go-to,
that-
but
yeah.
people need to know where to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Is that it? Thank you. Road projects. Neil is not with us.
Yeah. The good news is we're about 30 days away from the switch over on the bridge over here on Hart Street. They should be moving to finishing up the east side and switching over to the west side. I think that'll make driving much easier because you'll actually be driving on new construction. So it should take care of some of those problems. So they're moving along. We don't see any hangups on the stuff.
Yeah.
We're still getting things lined up for the Osage project, which is the first round of community crossings. I think I've told you, the second round is out. So we're done with that. And we're, later tonight, you'll do sidewalks and what we call the local streets and stuff like that. So we're moving along pretty well.
Good.
Once we get set up for the pre-construction on Osage, it'll start in the fall. That'll take 2 seasons. So which is always was the plan and stuff like that. So it's moving along. It's a huge project. It's akin to half of what we did over in Barron's Minaldi in terms of money size. It's, $2+ million for just that first one phase. So it's a big number. I think that's about it.
Okay.
We got everything, so.
I did hear one person tell me at the grocery store, well, they're never working on the bridge. And I said, what time do you go by? Well, I leave the house and I go by about 6:30 in the morning. And what time do you come back? 6:30 at night. And I said, that's because they're working during the day.
Well, when you're working below the surface, you don't
Yes,
see a lot. You
yes,
see cranes and stuff. They're working. They had a little bit of a COVID scare, but they've been working
Oh,
whatever
sure.
days they
Every
can
day.
work. And
Yes.
I think they've only lost one or two.
Yes.
But there's quite a bit of work going that you have to get
Right.
close and see down below.
Yeah.
So once you see some decking, then the pavement, oh, look, there's a bridge there.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Community crossing.
Community crossings, as I said, that's the Osage project,
Okay.
and that'll happen
Okay.
soon. Just a
Okay.
matter of getting everything lined up, so it's moving along.
Okay. Thank you. We have ordinance and resolutions. We have ordinance number 2020-08, an ordinance amending certain sections of the town code, section 3 pertaining to town legislative and judicial branches. Do I hear a motion to approve ordinance number 2020-08 and on first reading?
I'll
And
make that
then
motion.
we can move to the second one. Made the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Any discussion?
I'd just like to say that I thank Councilman Starkey for pushing on this. I think this is a good improvement. So thank you. Thank you for all your effort.
My quick math shows that it was of the items that Mr. Inslee was able to delete, a 40% reduction in code for that chapter. So
Good.
thank you for your efforts on that.
Probably small compared to what we get out of the rest of the chapters. With a good target.
We have a roll call, please.
Bob,
Aye.
Jared,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Mary.
Aye. Do we have a motion to suspend the rules and consider it on second reading?
Also motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bob,
Aye.
Jared,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Mary.
Aye. Next, we have Resolution 2020-13, an amendment to financing and covenant agreement with Cedarhurst.
I think you have a memo in your packet.
We do.
It's really, it's cleaning up some dates based on the fact that Cedarhurst has not progressed the way it should based on the original agreement. And so a couple of months ago, we started discussing modifying those dates based upon what Cedarhurst has provided to us insofar as their construction schedule and progress schedule on it. So we had to change some of the financing dates. And you can see what they are.
Are they back on schedule, though?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
They
Looks
are.
like
They're on
they're,
a different schedule, but they're
Yeah,
on schedule.
yeah. okay.
I would think it'd be fair to say a couple of months ago, Tom and I expressed great concern with Cedarhurst about the progress they weren't making. And we contacted Lori Schultz, who was one of the original people that we dealt with in relation to Cedarhurst, explained the circumstances to her. And since that time, she's been giving us monthly progress reports together with
Okay.
pictures of what's going on over there from a construction standpoint. And she then put together a timetable which was reflecting the work that's happening.
Okay, thank you.
This will also be on the RDC agenda.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
It
Same
has to
thing.
be approved by board.
So why is the extension so long?
Why?
Yes, it's till, I believe, to July of next year.
Because that's the way that they feel they can get their resources put together to make this project work. And I have the same question, why is it taking so long?
One of the key thing is we're not paying any, this project is subject to the TIF loan and grant, in which it's paid back by property taxes generated from this project. They own the bonds. No property taxes are collected. We don't retire the debt on the whole thing. So it's not costing us any particular money. I feel comfortable they'll get moving on this thing because they got to get some money going in to generate from the operation side. But it takes a while to get it all up to snuff after you build a shell. So
I have a motion to approve Resolution 2020-13.
I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 2020-13, a
Have a second.
resolution of the Town of Dyer Town Council approving amendments to the Cedarhurst Financing and Covenant Agreement.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Eric.
Aye. Next, we have Resolution 2020-14, a transfer of funds. This resolution will authorize the transfer of funds in the CCD and the asset seizure. Any explanation you want to give?
well,
or-
I'll make it real quick. These are more internal adjustments to the budget to allow for purchases to continue. The license plate reader, if you remember, is a project that
Right.
was funded both from the bond issue and the asset seizure. This is putting it into a line item because it's a data subscription. So it's just giving it the proper line item. We're not taking any more money out of either one of these budgets. It's from within those budgets, just moving them to different line items. That's really what it amounts to. The CCD one, there's an item later in the agenda for the acquisition of 2 vehicles, and that takes care of this problem. So if you don't approve the vehicles, we don't have to worry about the transfer.
Okay.
I'll motion we approve Resolution 2020-14, transfer of funds pursuant to IC 6-1.1-18-6.
Have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bob,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Eric.
Aye. Next is Resolution 2020-15, the utility payments and termination services. This is a resolution for the town of Dyer Town Council concerning utility payments and termination of services. A motion to approve.
And you understand this is just really doing 2 things. One is confirming
Right.
we haven't shut anybody off since March, and also then confirming that effective the 19th of this month, we will start shutting off utility services for them.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion that we approve Resolution 2020-15.
Have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bob,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Aye. In new business, with our first item on the agenda is the Safety Village donation. And this is something that we've been talking about for quite some time. At our last meeting, we had Mr. Jarvis here to answer any questions. And again, do we need to review anything from this?
I'd like to make a motion that we send a donation to the Safety Village at a level of $11,500.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I wanted to ask why your proposal is 11,500. We are 1/3 of the safety village. They talked about the importance, especially right now, of maintaining it. And this is not only maintain the safety village, but the safety of the children and everyone else that have access to it. As I read, this comes out of the seated
Yes, sir.
fund. And do we have enough funds to
Yes.
add to it if
We
we
have
wanted
enough
to go?
money to make
So
whatever
it doesn't
purchase.
affect any other budget or
No,
any
it-
other fund in here.
It's a planned expense from seated.
Yeah, so it's already there, and I'm just wondering why we can't, if you got concerns about going to 27,500, I think we should do something better than what we've done in the past. And if you look, we've raised it up from the prior year to last year, and I think we should continue that. But this is an utmost important year, especially for the children. So I would ask that you both resend your motion in second and redo it for 27.5 or at least somewhere close.
I think it's a mistake to cut this organization short, especially this year, when, as they've stated, they do not have the grants coming in. They do not have the donations coming in. They do not have the the revenue coming in from functions that they normally do. I think this is a big mistake. This is a universally loved program. I don't know anybody that I haven't spoke to anybody that's against the Tri-Town Safety Village. I don't understand why we would now attempt to give far less than they're asking and less than we gave last year.
Mary, like everybody has said, we've always had an increase every year, and you guys went to 15,000 last year. So I hope there would be some kind of increase, because even at the time that I sat on the council, when they asked for 25, we were increasing slowly as we could afford to. So I don't know why the increase is so big.
11.5 is 27.5 divided up August until the end of this year. So that's where that number came from. I don't plan to rescind my motion, so we can vote on it. If it passes, it passes. If it fails, it fails. We can redo another one.
So let me just understand, your motion is a 6-month motion? Is
I
it?
understand it, it's 11.5 for the year 2020.
Correct.
Oh, but you said you arrived at that number from,
I took the 27.5
Half a
divided
year.
by 12, rounded up, and got 11.5.
okay.
I just want to be clear that when I vote no on this, it's not because I'm voting against the Safety Village. I'm voting no in the hopes that 2 other council members will also vote no, and then we could put another motion on the floor.
And just to be clear again, I must ask, how much do we have in the seated?
Several $100,000. I don't. have
Okay, so the
exact number.
27.5 would,
It's a
not
plan,
even-
it's budgeted as an expense. It's for you to decide how you're gonna allocate.
and that won't be affected by anything else? It's there and that's one of the uses for it. So again, I would really ask my friend Councilman down at the end to please take a look and reconsider. This is of the utmost important. And I too, with Eric, and consider and vote no for the simple fact that it really undercuts and underscores our responsibility, not only to the Safety Village, but to the children that we're teaching how to protect themselves. Even if it just saves one individual, it's well worth it. I truly believe that we should accept that responsibility of Dyer being on the Tri-Town, because we are part of the Tri-Town. So I understand and I respect your emotions on it, but again, I would plead that you reconsider. So Eric and I don't be put in a position to vote no because it's such a low number to approve to it. We'd like to do something better.
This is the first time I've had an opportunity on this council to vote for this. This is where I'm coming from. I know that at the beginning of this year, there have been new financial controls put in place over at the Safety Village. I believe this 11.5 is the closest this council has come to doing the 27.5, in that it's the balance for the remainder of this year. If it looks good and they come back January 1 and there's no issues, I have no problem doing 27.5 for 2021.
And I appreciate that explanation. Thank you.
And the only other thing I would say, and Mr. Jarvis, I did receive your voicemail today, and I apologize for not getting back to you. I do recognize the value of the Safety Village. My day job is with the IURC, so I do a lot of the 126 stuff. So I know you get your Darby dollars from them. The only comment that I would have on it is I received my Safety Village pack, the original articles of incorporation, bylaws amended in 2007. I know nonprofits are run much different than government bodies. I know this is more for probably some of the board members to say. I don't know that any organization run with 18 leaders makes any sense. If Dyer can run with 5 elected people on a board and a 6 with a clerk treasurer, and so can the other towns, it would be nice to see some changes of how it's run. I'm not speaking to your position. I'm just speaking to the organization. But that's probably a conversation for a different time. Again, this is my first time voting on this, so my 11.5 in my mind is the 27.5 through the rest of this year. And with those new financial controls, it sounds like there's been some audits taking place. You know, I'm perfectly fine January 1 for a full fund. That's where I come from.
Okay, I'd like to call the question because, you know, I've been around the Safety Village for many, many years, and I really understand the importance of it, definitely. But I've also, when I'm reading the minutes, and I know of other groups that have kind of pulled themselves away from the Safety Village for whatever reason or another, and I don't know what they are, but it does worry me, and I think that probably the suggestion of 11.5 would be good for the rest of this year, and as of January, we'll reconsider.
It's just so I'm clear, how much have we donated from January until now?
Nothing.
Nothing.
This
So-
is the
So this for the whole year, we're
for the
only
whole year.
doing,
To suggest that if we waited till December, then all we would have to donate was 2291, and then we'd be giving 100% of what they're asking. That's ridiculous math.
Yes.
I apologize, but that's not how this works. They're asking for an annual donation. This is far less than we donated last year.
Hasn't the Safety Village been shut this year to school children?
No,
It's still open?
yes, it is every day. In fact, I'm there.
Okay.
I was going to invite all the board members to actually come out and see what we do at the Safety Village. Try to avoid Monday because we have the canines practicing there. So it's used for more than just the children.
Sure, I understand
We do
that.
adults as well, and I don't want to get long-winded here because I know you've got emotion out there. Bottom line is, we're doing a lot more than people are aware of that we're doing. The IURC, Darby Miller, we've got a grant from them. We train children and adults in 811 and gas and electric safety in the home. NIPSCO just came on board 2 years ago. There has not been one organization since my tenure that's pulled out of the Safety Village, none. And to keep it alive is very important for the community. Understand the first 2 years that I took over when it was negative dollars in the bank, I worked for free because I felt it was that important to everybody in the community. My home burned in 2000. My son almost died. Dyer saved him. That's how important it is. Like we said, if one individual is saved, learning how to get out of a fire,
Sure.
how do you put a value on that?
Yeah.
What if it's your child? And that's what happened to me, and that's why I donated all the years of my time to make the Safety Village what it is today. So with that said, I have to leave that up to you.
We do appreciate that. We have a motion on the floor and a second for donating $11,500 to the Safety Village for the remainder of the year. Any more discussion? Roll
I'd
call,
just like
please.
to say that earlier in the year we had before us, we were talking about what kind of poles to put up for our license plate readers. And Alan, you didn't want to go with the cheapest wooden poles. You didn't want to go with the moderate poles. You asked for the ornate poles. Earlier in the year, we discussed the garage door for the new fire station. Alan, you didn't want the cheaper garage door. You wanted the more ornate garage door. This is disingenuous to say that you're some fiscal hero here. This is the wrong avenue, the wrong opportunity to try to save some money. I strongly disagree.
I have to agree with Eric. This is going to be embarrassing. Think about the other communities, the other 2/3 that are out there, the other school corporations. We got Lake Central, we got all the different classes, we got the adults program now. And at least let's maybe put it on hold so we do all have a chance to go out there. I don't want to say anyone doing it for any nefarious reason, but we need to make sure that we're equal and co-part of this safety program. The Safety Village is so important. I just can't stress it enough. And
Okay,
I do
I will call
respect
the
you
question.
and the issues you bring up about it. But, think about what we're doing here. This is the first time we've gone backwards, I believe, that I know of.
No, that's not correct.
Well-
Totally. 2007, I was glad to hear when Councilman Kramer had a turnaround on the Safety Village outlook. Because in 2007 to 2010, we gave no money for those 4 years. At that time you sat there, When I was back on the council in 2011, we made up for those years of $2,000, which was $8,000 plus an additional $2,000 in 2011. We have never gone backwards in the donation, but I respect what you're saying, Councilman Starkey and everybody else up there, but at the same time, I don't want to see it go under 15,000 that you gave last year. You should at least keep it at 15,000 working above and what you're, you know what I mean, keep moving up from there. I understand and I respect each and every one of you, but it is a rough year for the safety village. At least keep the donation at 15,000 to look at everything the way you want to. And for those who haven't been out there, you can go out there and utilize it. We even learned at the last board meeting, everything that was myself and Tom Schmidt, the council president Sherrill, and everything going on there. But we just want reports now given to the towns for all 3 towns of everything else going on out there besides the kids.
Yes. I
So
appreciate that.
just one
Give me
last
the
thing
roll
real
call,
quick.
please.
Councilman Starkey, would you consider modifying it to say that we will review it again in January 1? I just don't want to leave it hanging out. I don't want to leave on a bad note. I know back in 07, the seated fund wasn't maybe up to par, and that's why the council back then did different things. But I know last year, when the new members on the council came in, they upped it to 15. And we're told again, there's plenty of room with that money in the seated, and it was that important. I know Ms. Astor argued on behalf of giving more or as much as we could, and we should. And just one last plea, if maybe we put a little note on there that the council will commit to reviewing it January 1. I would be in a little more of a comfort zone.
I have a question for Mr. Jarvis. Our amount of 11,500, if we don't do more than that, is it going to shut down operations at the safety village?
Not if I have anything to do with it.
Okay, is it going to affect
In the past,
anything?
we've always been short of our budget. And I go out for grants, and I'll be going to Darby Miller again on new ideas for 811. There's so many things that we'll have to do, but it's a lot that takes away from the children, which is our primary goal. And just so all council members know, this is supposed to come in front of you January 1 for the funding of the safety village. And then what happened this year with COVID-19, we really couldn't come to the meetings and decide what was going to happen. So I'm digging into the funds that we have in reserve at the safety village from different grants in the past and different funding. We're digging deep into that money, and it's going to run out.
Okay, I'd like to call the question. Have the roll call, please.
Bob,
Aye.
Eric,
No.
Alan,
Aye.
Steve.
With an explanation which is allowed, the only reason why I'm voting no, because it's such a low number, and we truly deserve to be more responsible and provide for the safety village. I know they said they're not going to shut down, but it does eliminate some programs, and the possibility of something negative happening, it's still there. Maybe not going to happen because we've got great leaders like you to help out and ensure it keeps going. But I'm gonna have to vote no too, for the simple fact that Dyer should be doing far more. We should stand up to our responsibility with the safety village. Thank you.
Yes.
Mary,
Aye. Vote was 3-2 to support. Moving on to the 2020 street construction. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
Real quick, thank you very much. My invitation to come out there is still out there. I'd like everybody to better understand the safety village. and what we
Been there.
But thank you very much for the funding.
Thank you for coming.
I'll work to make up the difference.
We have the 2020 street resurfacing and patching program or street reconstruction. Sorry. Anything we want to add?
No, I think
Okay.
everything's self-explanatory, so
Okay.
you're approving. What you'll do is approve the program. It's based on unit prices, so the exact dollar amount will be, I've given you a little bit more than what we anticipate, and that you get the work done.
We need a motion for the use of 2019 GEO bonds for the 2020 street resurfacing, 2020 street patching, engineering observation in an amount not to exceed $470,000. A motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
You have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bob,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Mary.
Aye. Next, we have the purchase of vehicles. We would like to have the council make a motion to authorize the disposal of 7 Crown Vics, squad cars, and surplus property. Proceeds from their disposal to be deposited to the CCD fund. Acquisition of the 2017 Ford Expedition from Frankie's Auto in the amount of $27,114, with the final price to later to be determined to be paid from the CCD funds, and the purchase of a 2020 4x4 Ram 1500 pickup from Sam Roberts Motors, Bloomington Ford, in the amount of $28,075.25, and allowances of $2,500 for their bed cap and $9,000 for electronics and markings, for a total of $39,575.25 to be paid from the CCD fund. Do we have a motion to approve? Do
I'll make that motion to approve.
we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bob,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Aye.
Mary.
Aye. Next, we have Old Plank Road Trail. Okay, do you have any explanation, Tom, on this one?
Well, the Old Plank Trail Road is a 22-mile trail that goes from Joliet, currently stops in Chicago Heights, just off their downtown area. It is one of the longest continuous road trails, pedestrian trails and stuff. And we're looking, this actually is the, get my directions right, the western connection to what we're talking about on the Enbridge and the existing the project we've been trying to work on. I think when I had this meeting with them in January with reps from Illinois and Cherville and NERC and everybody, the idea was it needed a lead agency, and we sort of volunteered that we would be the lead since it connects to us. They're looking
Sure.
for somebody that connects in here, and I think it's going to help us get the other project done too. So that's one of the reasons I'm in favor of it. And it's that's how you're going to get grant money, is for connections that go places, not local connections. You're not going to see grant money for that kind of stuff. So I think it's a good project that may take us several years to get it all put together, but it's going to happen. And once you start getting some grant money, it seems to keep flowing. In the meantime, we can be doing some other projects internally that on our own.
Do I hear a motion to take the lead on the NOFA application to NERC and fund this project contribution in the initial amount of $6,900 from the 2018 GEO bond, the same funding source that we are using for this, for the design of the current bike path?
I'll make that motion to approve.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I haven't had one resident approach me and say they want to ride their bike to Chicago Heights. All the connections they want are to go east into Munster, Crown Point, Highland, Griffith. We have an opportunity with Will County Forest Preserve, now that they purchased Longwood. They're going to have the Plum Creek Greenway. The north terminus is going to be right there. We should be building that way, south to Longwood, or we should be building the trail to the new train station. Nobody is going to want to ride a bike to Chicago Heights other than club members.
This trail goes through Chicago Heights all the way to Joliet. Everybody that I know that rides bikes wants to ride long distance trails. They want to be able to go from here to the Calumet Trail south of the National Lakeshore. They want to head west as far as they want to go. They want to go places. They don't want small local trails.
Yeah.
And
I'm confused. Which club member are you talking about? Briar Ridge Club?
No, I'm talking
Briar
about
Ridge?
bike club members. They
Bike
want the
club.
long distance trails. Residents
Yeah.
that go out with their kids on a Saturday ride, they're not riding to Chicago Heights.
I don't know. All I know is all of our surveys, all the residents, or majority of them that responded, want bike trails to go different places. They did not eliminate any place. I'm not saying that all those others we should be including on top of this, not eliminating one for the other, but I take heart to, you know, that's a great opportunity for the Will County one, and we'll push just as hard for that. I know we're still pushing for the Norfolk Southern rail line, and that's been really hard. My only concern is I don't want none of this to take away from my major priority, which is the Norfolk Southern. And
Well,
I
that's what
thought I
this
heard
is.
them say this may help.
Well, if you look at the Old Plank Trail, the best part of that trail, and I'm familiar with it, is right through downtown Frankfurt. If you look at the bridge that crosses LaGrange Road, it's beautiful. If you talk to the Frankfurt police, they have bike patrols, foot patrols, ATV patrols, and they've still had issues there. And that's the best part of the trail. Now you're talking about running a trail into a high crime area. That's crazy.
This is about building a network of trails, a statewide, interstate network of trails. And when Mitch Barloga was here last year, he said that trails that connect community to community have an increased chance of getting state funding. Trails that can also connect state to state get an even higher increased chance of getting state funding. By submitting this small amount of money to get this project, to move forward on this project, it increases our chances of getting the trail that heads east to the Pennsy Greenway Trail, which is another trail that when it's all said and done, it will connect you all the way to Crown Point, to the Erie-Lackawanna Trail. It'll eventually connect you all the way to Chicago. To say that one destination on a trail should prohibit somebody from wanting that trail, I think misses the point of what the trail network does.
I disagree. I mean, if you look at some of the legal issues in Chicago with the 606 trail, which is very popular, the residents want it closed that night. However, the bike clubs took them to court. They want it open 24 hours. There's crime up there at night and the residents would like it shut down. It's very popular. There's been a stabbing up there. There's been a shooting there. The problem with this bike trail, once you build it, it's like a sidewalk. It's open public space. Anybody can walk on it at any time of the night or day. So there's going to be people walking through people's backyards at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's crazy.
Well, Alan, I hate to tell you, they do it right now anyway. And just to eliminate it, here, you know, Cherville doesn't have your, I don't know if you're against it because you haven't said, but it seems like you are. Cherville hasn't said we don't want it for those reasons. None of the other communities.
Cherville doesn't border any of those communities.
None of these other communities, we're talking about New Lenox, Frankfurt, parts of Manson, Park Forest. They're very, very nice communities where this trail runs through, and I've been there too. Some of Chicago Heights is doing better and rebuilding. Joliet is a great metropolitan area. Yeah, they have problems just like any other urban area across the United States, but people aren't going backwards, Alan. I wish we would look forward and have some foresight, not be afraid and have the same alienation from other individuals that, you know, we're supposed to be networking and creating these networks because that was on the forms that they filled out. This is what
I think if that's what we're headed toward is kind of looking east and west, it just opens the door for you to examine when we do our comprehensive plan. That's another area, you know, when we look at our trails and how they might view that we can have a connection to Illinois, not necessarily into Ford Heights, but let's take a look at an open door. It's going to start.
Yeah, I don't see how Ford Heights listed on here. So
well, that's where that trail would run. It would
why
run
is it
through.
okay to go every other direction, but you keep pointing out what the Chicago Heights, or you think, what's your fear? You think there's going to be what you see on TV, a mob of people?
Move the vote.
Yeah, call the question.
That too.
Okay. Can we have the roll call, please?
No.
Alan?
No.
Eric?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Mary?
No. And this is because I really believe that with our comprehensive plan that we can do a better job than that. But I side with NERC saying it's a great idea. So I would like to see view it. I would like to pick it up at another town council meeting.
I don't know how you can say you're for something and against it.
We have town
They
council
voted it
meeting
down.
change.
Who did?
Pardon me?
The council voted this down I will notify him that we will not be the lead agency.
this year.
What?
Yes.
Well,
Are we hedging our bets?
it's not what,
Yeah.
you said.
We're making
Okay.
decisions. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, and if you say no on walk
No.
trails and bike trails, and that's your
No.
position, no, you don't
No.
support it for
No.
those reasons, and stand up to it. You
Moving
can't say
along.
yes for NERC, but no when you vote here. You got commitments.
Next item is the 2020 sidewalk replacement program. Recommendation is that J.J. Newell Concrete award the 2020 sidewalk replacement program to be funded by the MBH restricted fund in the amount of $100,000. You know, I have a question about that. Are those funds already used up, or are there still people? I mean, I run into sidewalks all the time that should be looked at. But
What do you mean by they're used up?
well, do we have sidewalks that we're already going to fix?
We have a
this money?
list.
Okay, that's what
If
I'm
you
asking.
remember,
Yes.
last
That's
year,
why
we
I'm asking.
eliminated what it was at that point in time, all the most severe ones.
Yes.
This is the next group that
Okay,
moves up
that's
to
what I
that,
wanted
and
to-
any that
Okay.
jumped into that cat. The list almost never ends.
Okay,
You know, if
that's
you
what I
could give me
need.
$500,000, we just do more work, but it's still gonna not exhaust the list.
Okay.
So, yeah.
so do we have a motion to approve the 2020 sidewalk replacement program in the amount of $100,000 from MBH?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Christie,
Aye.
Aaron.
Aye. Next on the agenda, we have town council meetings and the date changes.
What I'd like you to do is, I gave you that, you've agreed to change off to Thursdays to allow my
Yes, we
conflict and stuff. I meant to put this together earlier this week to get it to you. There are dates in there. I know you've got a conflict on on certain Wednesdays and stuff like that. I think we sent out a note about when the next public forum would be.
Yes,
I think it was the 23rd and the 30th of Feb. Now, which of those is the better dates? I know there was conflicts on both.
the only one I heard was the 23rd was bad. Was that you,
No,
Steve?
23rd.
You should have gotten that.
I thought
Or,
23rd.
I'm
was
sorry,
good.
the 30th was bad. We
23rd
wanted the
was good.
23rd.
Yeah.
Okay. all
Okay,
right,
so that's what we'll
23rd,
stay
yeah.
with.
Councilman Schultz
Everybody?
had the Wednesday.
Bob?
Yeah.
23rd?
Yeah.
Okay,
So look at those dates. If there's any conflicts, let us know.
okay,
What it does include, if you'll notice it for September, it includes the 3 meetings we talked about previously. Just that we've talked about them off and on, but this puts them all in one spot.
Good.
They'll be sunshine as a joint meeting, but you'll just be there to gather information. You won't be making any decisions. It's almost like a work study, if you will. But
great.
they're going to go through some big projects and stuff with the utility board. We're going to be talking about the bond issue. And Parks is going to talk about their upcoming bond issue and stuff. We're not in a position yet to talk about the rates. It's the critical path is these bond issues, because time is going to be important for the GO, the water district that we talked about, and the park stuff. The bond issues, we're really looking at the end of the year into next year for activations, but we're doing all that stuff. So John
Okay.
Julian will be at the utility board meeting from Baker Tilly to go through the bond, answer any questions you might have about the bond issue.
When do you need to know if this is okay? If we have objections, we should contact
If the
you?
23rd of September is the best date for the public
Yes.
forum,
I think we all agree.
that's what because we want to get we want to do a flyer and get some notification and everything else. That's the most critical date. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. You'll notice a problem, and we can work month to month
okay,
on the dates. November gets kind of conflicted with
Yeah.
Veterans Day and Election Day and everything else coming in.
and if there's any conflict, we should.
Yeah,
talk to
let
you.
me know.
Okay,
Funding states, for the sewer, water, utility, park board, are they getting advertised?
They will be.
As a study session?
Yes, what I said, yeah.
Okay.
They're advertised as the council will meet as, I'm sorry, Bill, go ahead.
All I was gonna say, it's the meeting of the regular board or commission. The council is invited. It is not, the council is not having a meeting.
Yeah,
They're there to observe and discuss and
Right.
entertain.
and I think this is something that all of us have asked for
right.
a long time.
And there's a
It's gonna
point for
happen.
having the meetings. Because most of our meetings are about as boring as ours are most of the time, but we've got, next Wednesday, we've got 3 major projects that are,
Yeah.
you see one of them in here on the old plank, you saw that park area is one, that's the regional detention pond
Yes,
and some other stuff. So the law requires if it's going to be known that the council is going to be together and gathering information, you just sunshine that they're there. It's not an official meeting of that council,
Okay,
just that they're going to be at the respective board meetings. Yeah.
okay, okay. Any other issues? Citizen input? Yes, sir. Please state your name and your address. And thank you for coming.
I'm at 716 Osage Drive.
Yes,
I'd like to say good evening to the whole panel. And
good
everybody
evening.
in the house. The last time I was here was concerned about our streets, our sidewalks, as well as our curbs. And I'd like to thank you that came out and spoke with us after meeting with some of the residents in that area. And they were very happy, at least some of them was found to see what's coming in the future. Again, they said that there will be some kind of flyer document will be mailed up to our addresses where we stand in the future with the streets. And we're hoping that that still will be followed up. The other thing is that on this storm that came out on Monday, and on a positive note, it brought the neighbors together to help each other. And even though as it got dark, sometimes we experienced an hour, 2 hours, this one 25 hours. As I remember it was 4:11 when it hit us, and the power came on at 5 o'clock. And in between those 25 hours, I like to say that at least some of the neighbors came around, we walked around with candles if they needed. Some people had generators, that's all you heard was music of generators all around. And we had some people sleep at night with the garage open because I guess it was hot for them. And thank God no rain came follow up after this storm. But what we did experience was that it was dark. And of course, some young bloods will come by speeding. And of course, we made a phone call, and I believe it was an officer, it was a female. That's her name, I don't know. At least she came by, nobody got hurt. But people are people. And I'd like to thank her for responding.
You're welcome.
I don't know if it was for sure, I don't know, even though the neighbors gave her a thumbs up. The other thing is that we do have a volume of kids on both sides, and I finally found a partner that's in behind me that lives on Laurel Street, and it's Laurel Drive, and I live on Osage Drive, and we're trying to form a neighborhood watch as well as a neighborhood togetherness. And I like to say that, I've been there almost 14 years, going on my 15 years, and I love my neighborhood. I love my area. I hear a lot of discussion about the bikes trail, and all I know is that I'm listening a lot about my area, my Vesterville area, and people are starting to know me because I do what I went to an event yesterday.
Yes,
And I was glad that it was, people came out just to breathe and just to get out.
yes.
And that's what's hungry right now. A lot of the people, they just want to get out.
Thank you.
But it's keeping us within our own community. And I agree with that, with the fact we're going out in our own area. I have a neighbor that rides his bike with his 2 sons, and he knows his boundaries, he's with them, and they know their boundaries. Why go
Yes.
beyond
Yes,
your area? You come back, it's just,
we appreciate
So I'd
your
like to
comments.
thank,
Yes,
For those that are, on that bike issue, that can always be done in the future, but, we do have a real big concern. I'm gonna let her introduce herself.
okay.
And other than that, thank you for your time and.
Okay,
as
thank
well
you for
as,
coming in.
We hoping that we do get that leaflet or notice that what's going on in our streets.
Thank you.
So I did stop the Public Works, and I thank them, because they're working hard. They're out there trying to get the best they can, get all these branches out of the way. And people gotta be patient,
Right.
And the other thing is that, I believe, Brian, I don't know if he had the list, he showed me where I was on the list for the sidewalk. And it's a long list, so hopefully, we'll get to it.
Okay, thank you.
And I think-
All right. Just one question. Last time you were here, my notes reflect that you talked about Cottonwood Park and you wanted something
Well,
done.
Yeah.
Did you have something to say? I didn't want you to forget about it. That's all.
Yeah, we wanted to upgrade the swings. I mean, if you go over there and actually see some of the other parks, they got more activity for the kids. And hopefully that will be upgraded. And I'm also arranging just within our area, a little gathering at the Cottonwood Park, and hopefully Labor Day weekend. because they're not going nowhere for the weekend, everything's still shut down. And once we get for us to know each other, bring the kids out to know each other, and I think Mr. Brooks for, saying that, we're gonna try to make it a good atmosphere.
Yes.
But there's a lot of new neighbors again, but hopefully we'll see where that goes.
Thank you.
And as far as that Wednesday night, 23rd, is this just for that one time, or is it gonna be changed all the time on the meeting for the public? I don't know. I mean, is it a town meeting or is it?
We'll let you know, but we had to reschedule for a couple of different reasons, but probably the first of the year, we will make a definite permanent schedule. Okay?
You asked the question about the 23rd.
Yeah. Is that for the?
That's the meeting on the comprehensive plan. Oh, that's what that meeting's for.
Okay. I'm listening.
That's for the public.
Thank you.
You're invited. Yes. Your name and address, please.
Good evening to everyone. My name is Jelena Markovic. We are new in this area, 719 Laurel Drive. So my concern is about safety of our children. So people are crossing, they're not stopping on the stop sign on Laurel Drive. So I have petition that people signed, residents of the street, they signed they want to put speed humps on the street if it's possible. So people are not, there is even 15 kids playing all day in the street. I have two small kids, little kids, and people are not stopping.
Okay.
Is that on the corner of Osage and Laurel?
No, that's Laurel Drive and Laurel Court.
Laurel Court?
Yes.
Okay.
So there is a petition. So 17 people, 17 houses agreed. I couldn't find all people at home yesterday and today, but all of them are very happy with that.
Okay. Is there a stop sign there now?
There is a stop sign, but people are not stopping.
Okay.
They're running and kids are playing.
Right.
So 2 days ago, one girl was almost hit by the car.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. And thank you for doing all the legwork.
No problem. I have one more concern.
Okay,
because
yes.
We bought a house year ago and house is damaged. Actually, basement is curving forward 1.5 inches. So I would like to know, do we have any rights? Because when we had the closing, on the paper, they said no damage in the house. So do we have any protection, like residents or any advice, what we have to do, what we're supposed to do?
Well, we'd have to refer to our counselor here.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I don't think there's any recourse that the town can take in relation to that. That is a private matter, not a public matter.
Thank you.
My best advice to you would be that you contact a lawyer and looking for options and do it quickly because there are laws called statutes of limitation, which could affect your ability to enforce your rights.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Come back. Any other discussion?
Well, I'm afraid
Yes.
to ask, but you've had a request for speed humps. What do you want me to do with that request?
Well, I think we have a study session coming up and based on our prior discussions, if there was no stop sign, but this seems to be an issue where we should refer it to our police department.
Well, we don't know what's out there. Yeah.
Yeah, let them
It's
take a
all,
look
it's
at
again,
it.
all
and
anecdotal.
Let's make
It's
sure the
hard to
stop
imagine.
sign,
Yeah.
let's make sure the stop sign is visible. We had other areas where they weren't. And let's see what, like we did before, let's go through a process. But first, we always started with the police department.
Well, I
And we
understand
let
that.
them do the patrols and report back to us and we'll see.
Okay, that's the direction I wanted.
Yes.
We'll see how that
I
goes.
would
And I
agree with
hated-
that.
I didn't mean to step
Anybody
in front of everyone. I was just.
No, I agree. We
My
did the- we did the
apologies
same
if I
thing
did.
behind Jewel.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Don. I live at 1216 Lake Street. Two things. One is the corner of Lake and Monticello going east and west. Seriously, there's got to be another stop sign.
Okay.
The kids just fight through them. Second of all, there is a town ordinance about residents maintaining their property. I called the police department. Resident has been warned, he's been ticketed, and it's still not being done. He's got structures in the backyard that were built without any permits. He's got some kind of inflatable pool that's been sitting there for 3 years. That's probably full of water and whatever else, and who knows what's living in his backyard.
What was your address again?
1216,
But what's the address of the?
1222 Lake Street.
Okay,
Could we
thank you.
just, this matter is already in court.
Okay,
So it is,
Yeah.
and it hasn't been heard by a judge yet. It will be here sometime, either, I believe it's set for a trial. That's it.
Okay, because like I said, it's getting worse.
but I'm glad you came because now you know.
Trim everything over
Right.
the fence line because.
Yep.
I've seen
He's not.
And with the stagnant water in there, I believe you can call the county, Lake County Health Department. They will assess the water and if there's any problems with it, they have rules and laws
The
too.
thing is, the other neighbors too are kind of. discussing,
Sure.
but it's-
You know, it seems like we have one in every neighborhood, and I know that code enforcement has been really active in taking care of those. So we appreciate you coming.
This is one of them.
Yes, yes, and please come back.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Like, pay too much money for our property to keep it up to have this happen.
Thank you. Appreciate
We
that.
have to take some to court.
Any other citizens?
Not a problem.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other citizens? Yes, sir.
My name is Michael Wargo. I live at 1766 Amber Way. This has nothing to do with the Hearthstone subdivision today. I'm listening to this discussion about this bike trail.
Yes.
going over in Stone Way. I will tell you that I am nauseatingly familiar with the suburbs on the other side of the state line. South Village, Wood Heights, Chicago Heights, mostly because of my former career with the Illinois State Police.
Yes.
I will tell you about Ward Heights. About every 10 or 15 years, their entire police department gets arrested for civil rights violations or corruptions. Corruption in the state police and the county police have to go in and patrol the town. South Village is getting ready to go belly up. As soon as this next census comes to drastic. I'll tell you what will happen if you extend a bike trail from Dyer through there. West Frankfort might be very nice. This town, Joliet, might be very nice, but you still got to go through these towns to get there.
Yes.
I will tell you exactly what will happen. People will go biking over there and they'll come walking back because they're going to jack them up in Sauk Village, or Ford Heights, or Chicago Heights. They're going to take their bikes, and if they're lucky, they're going to be able to walk back. If they're not, they're going to be laying by the side of the trail. I've seen this many, many times before. I can't tell you how many homicides I've worked in these various communities. I realize that there's some dough out there, and everything else, but we can't always be.
Well, that's what I said. You know, with the comprehensive plan, they may have another idea for heading south and getting to the same destination.
Perhaps that would be better if you're going straight west. I'm telling you, you're going into a real cesspool, and it's not going to be a good thing for the rest of the time.
Okay, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Any other citizen input? Any citizen input? Do we have any replies? No comments? I guess not.
If there's any emails, Steve.
Nothing? Okay, thank you. Do you have a motion for adjournment?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, voice vote?
Aye.
And we will begin our redevelopment commission in about 5 minutes, as soon as we get done signing the documents.
Yeah.
Find one you like. Got 'em
Those
all?
were all of the ones, for sure.
Didn't want to miss one.
You on vacation for the last?
Always have that.
No, I have to spread the wealth and let the knowledge get to everybody, you know. Put them in the hot seat, right?
Right, Susan? We're now those people that are good guys. Should have had a wall a long time ago. You know what to do. Get that hot one.
Yeah, I just wanted to, did you sign what you?
I sure hope so.
Oh, yeah. 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 No, I know what you're saying. No, I know what you're saying. No.
I do have my mask.
Okay, thank you.
We are exempt under,
Oh,
we're exempt
gosh.
under 2.
I'll get right back. Let me talk to the young lady.
1B4N.
Sure.
And just to keep us with Joel Road, that whole connection of Joel Road to Dyer. And how they keep fighting.
I appreciate
that.
It was like a fun.
Exactly, but they won't bring it together. People Dyer, they don't want it.
I know,
Because they opened up that road, it's 4 times, people don't want to deal with that.
So Route 30 goes straight to Fort Heights in Chicago.
Right.
So it's okay for them to. So we're around them.
Joe Moore put those, they started the extension and then they stopped it. So they can't come and go in, but it's set up.
But it's not to the border of it's not the
Right, but not too far.
because of they wanted it to bring Illinois did not have access.
Right, but in the meantime, people that live on like Carnation and all those streets over there, they're like, no, no, But see, the people that live over on 18th, because of what it's open up.
You can be afraid all you want. Eventually, it's all going to go. I got that through. They're going to. The roads are going to go through.
You're right.
They're going to. It's just designed to take. So until Illinois gets some money, the rest of it, they're going to run it the state line. Indiana is going to connect to the rail line. That's a federal and state program. We don't
But
have
you know, I'll tell you, having lived in Sauk
Yeah.
for 30 years.
I lived there too.
Let me
I
assure you.
grew up in Harvard. I lived 28 years in Harvard. So I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's so much for years. Let me assure you, my husband's car was stolen. He just drove over to Fort Heights and found it on Green Street.
Yeah, you know where several murders happened in Iron?
Well, they're kind of over the
Iron Ridge. Iron Ridge.
Well, that was the doctor.
Let's close Iron Ridge.
No, it's not that point. It's just the
Stand
idea. Let me
in
assure
there.
you, that bike passed in that direction.
I don't believe in.
No, it is. That's funny.
You go so engineering.
You know what? Gary gets bad rap. It's not bad.
Where you going, Gary? I go to parts, there's other parts that.
I mean,
I would say it's as
I
bad.
told Gary at Fifth and
I
Jackson.
would say it's as bad as some parts of Florida.
Yeah.
My husband worked at Pulaski Junior.
Yeah, no, we've got our central district headquarters right there in Gary. We go out there all the time.
It's
I just don't want people's anxieties and fear to
it's a
make
shame
determinations that are
forego
not
some
gonna happen in the
funding,
future anyway. That's all. I agree with you, let's.
Yeah,
make
right.
the best most common sense approach
It is.
to
It
to
is.
protect us.
Meeting on the 23rd.
Well, that's good. I can see us trying to get into
When we do our comprehensive plan.
You
You know, I'm going, okay,
I'm just thinking, what are we gonna do now?
Next bike.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Trails right now. It's Lunch.
Visit all you want.
I'd like to call to order the redevelopment commission
All right,
meeting,
thank you.
continue in 5 minutes. Again, due to the unique nature of these meetings, the town of Dyer will only accept public comments submitted electronically. If you are viewing this meeting virtually and have a question or comment about an item on the agenda, please email that question or comment to publiccomments@thetownofdyer.com. We will ensure that all submissions are shared with the elected and appointed officials of the respective board. The submission will also be entered into the minutes of the respective meeting. Please list your name and address and your email for the meeting record. And this is the Dyer Redevelopment Commission of August 13th, 2020. We have a consent agenda that contains the minutes of the July 30th, 2020 Redevelopment Commission meeting and the claims totaling $441,982.30. Do you have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye.
There's no discussion, I'll say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have reports, attorney's report,
I have none.
town manager report.
Nothing, you have the fire station scheduled.
In old business, we have none. In new business, we have resolution 2020-2, an amendment to financing and covenant agreement in Cedarhurst. And this is what we talked about in
That's
the
what we did before.
same ones. You need a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion that we approve resolution number 2020-2, a resolution of the Town of Dyer Redevelopment Commission approving amendments to the Cedarhurst Financial and Covenant Agreement.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Aye.
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 Aye. We have any citizen input for redevelopment? Seeing none, hearing none. Do you have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, voice vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Next, we have a work study agenda, the discussion of the Water District bond issue options. A, B, or C?
Well, I thought we talked about it. That's how bad my memory is getting. You asked for, and you now have received some different options based on our earlier conversations.
Right.
We're going to discuss this at length on the 24th, I think the date is with the utility board. John, Julie, and I have confirmed he'll be able to be here. We may have to switch the meeting to 7. He has another conflict in Maryville, so we're trying to work the logistics of that out. But this gives you an idea of what we're talking about for 4 different $8 million and $10 million. And I think I hopefully I explained everything in here. If there's any questions, if you've had a chance to read it, I'd be happy to try to answer them as we prepare going down the road. But some of it, we believe that there's some merit to considering the 12,000 foot replacement of that entire water main
Yes.
that we talked about. And it just, these are generational projects. You get them done. We're done with them for hopefully 25 or 30 years. And with the new installation versus what happened in 90, knowing how bad the soils are and a different product and a different installation, you should get the normal life out of something like this, not the problem. But again, we've had premature failure in water mains all over town.
Yes.
As part of our problem. So this is nothing surprising, but pretty serious. So
we are looking at $8 million.
You're going to look at, we'll put together the list, the schedule of projects. It's what you're willing to go for. And I'm not necessarily asking for a decision tonight.
Yes.
To kind of inform you. Well, I mean that it's out there, and you're going to discuss it with the utility board. We'll have some more items formalized, but remember when we talked about it, there's a significant lead for hundreds of fire hydrants to be replaced. Our schedule will get them done by the 22nd century at the rate we're going. I'm being somewhat facetious, but unless you attack that problem, it's not going to get done with just improvement money. This doesn't negate you doing some improvements every year through the rate structure, but it does mean that we don't have to maybe go as high because if we attack the hydrants, that's one thing there. So the whole thing is kind of a balancing act as we go along. But as I talked about it before, there's no question in my mind that the number one priority is the main, but we've also included all the other what were the everybody agreed upon priorities before we had these series of main breaks.
Yes.
The Munster connection, the interconnection, and some of the other stuff. So the things it's just completely changed from what we talked about back in whatever date, even back as far as June, or as close as June. So read this material, utility board will see it, and I think we'll have a discussion on the 24th.
And just to remind me, this bond, whichever way we choose, is 100% supported by tax revenue from
Yes.
residents.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not rates,
Yeah.
Pardon me?
not by rates.
Yeah. It's, okay.
I think what's important too is what are we going to put in? You know, what do we think are our priorities? Is it public works?
What do you mean
That
public
needs a lot
works?
of improvement and everything, you know, what goes into each level here?
I'm sorry, what? These
I
are all water related improvements.
Right, but I think, you know, we have to think overall too, for the other departments.
Well, you still got to deal with stormwater is going to give you a bunch of
Yes.
projects.
Yes,
And I'm telling you, they're just as important as these.
yes.
It's the
that's
question
fine.
of how you're going to juggle all those balls going up there.
Sure,
You can't throw it all on rates. You can't throw it all on property
Yeah.
taxes. You're going to have to come up with some stuff.
okay.
But you know, the stormwater board's talking about millions of dollars to fix this neighborhood, fix that neighborhood. And those kinds of things cost money. We got plans to get them done,
Sure,
but it's also going to mean you got to keep moving with, you got a lot of juggles. You got GO bonds, park bonds. You've got Central Park yet to finish. It's going to require some serious funding.
yes,
You've got other kinds of things, whether you build a bike path that goes from one block to another, that's going to
Sure.
come out of local funds. I mean,
not the what, it's the how.
yeah, I mean, it all works, but
How many hydrants do we have in town?
about 1,100, Jeff?
And how many
Wow.
have we replaced so far?
Since, we're looking at about 25.
Okay.
Again, not with road projects and stuff like that, which is outside of.
Is that something we do in-house or we contract it out?
No.
We had contracts with the lead system.
Okay.
Yeah. You have to understand, when we use outside contractors, there's a reason. They get the work done because they have more equipment and more manpower. We have other responsibilities. And we've cut public works down considerably to what it was 8 or 10 years ago. That's why we contract out certain jobs, because they get them done. We contract out valve exercising, which public works and most in-house water departments never get done.
And the
Okay.
expertise
We
is. with
we
an
did the
outside
fire
firm.
hydrant repairs, greasing, maintenance, and flushing. That's done because the company comes in, sends a crew out, and it gets it done. We get called away on emergencies and everything else and never get it done. So
I guess this is probably a question for the utility board, but if we were gonna redo the main line to Highland and run the other line to Munster, do we need that back line to Sherrville?
It really is an answer for the utility board, but there's another reason for that line in addition to having an emergency supply, and that is the pressure in that area of town is not very good.
Okay.
Right.
Jeff, I think.
I agree, yeah, again, the idea of having the Sherbrooke connection would help more the south side.
Okay.
But again, all the connections are important.
Okay.
And it was such a small.
yeah.
Yeah, and what you get with Sherrville, so with Highland, it's one source, one feed. With Munster, it's one source, two feeds. And you add Sherrville, you now have two sources, three feeds.
Yeah.
So.
I think that's-
Much more limited.
Yeah, yeah, you don't get much.
Different water systems.
Right. Now, when we have these water main breaks and we know it's corrosive soil, are we putting good soil back in?
I mean, yeah, you put sand in your gravel, so again, there's something that's around me. So eventually leach back to the.
Yeah.
So again, you're not really getting rid of the soil.
You don't refill with what you.
No,
Right.
what we have.
Okay.
We will eventually.
Eventually, it's gonna get back there. Okay.
And Jeff, don't we already have another connection off of 213th with Sherrville for water?
Mhm.
There's another.
No, I thought we did in the past.
Briar Ridge.
There's a connection.
Through
Briar Ridge there is.
But the pressure difference between the Briar Ridge and our connection, we would end up sending water to Briar Ridge off
Yeah.
Sherrville versus the other way around.
it serves parts of Briar Ridge. People that are in Dyer corporate, but are on the
Oh, they
so-called
also
Cherville
serve on
side.
the south side of Dyer Corporate too. Cherville does.
Yeah, we're talking about 77th Street for this interconnection.
I realize that. I just was going by my experience in the past, and I thought I remembered that we had an issue and Cherville provided water through that connection we have up on the north side, because they do provide water for that one little neighborhood that's just east of the creek and on the south side of 213th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, in there. And then a little bit of Briar Ridge.
Much more
Okay.
practical to do it that
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Anything further? Thank you for coming. Come back.
Thomas? Tom? Should I shut this down? Okay. No, I didn't see that. I had to tell you this, so when I was, probably, I don't know, first grade, right back in school, and when I was with brothers.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know, I could have hit the X.
Well, I don't know what else you gotta get.
So they said to this teacher who at that time seemed to be about.
Any folders?
Yes,
Bob?
I gotta run. Yeah, the teacher, and,
Okay.
I had probably right, I was writing something and it's.
Sit down.
Right, and it was corrections, okay.